What kind of a hero is Katana? Welcome to the Complete Story series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by respective companies. Katana flies through the lands of Markovia to the mission point. Currently, Markovia is being invaded, which isn't why she's here. But soon her jet gets shot and Katana crash lands in the fields down below. Soldiers start to surround her, telling her that she is ordered to come out in the name of Lord Cobra. But when the soldiers open the door to her jet, they don't see anything. Then through the smoke, Katana jumps out and begins to slaughter the soldiers. When one remains, he looks at Katana. Then she drops her weapon and runs away. And Katana tells her she chose wisely. Katana sneaks into her target location, and as she gets to the front location, some of the children are watching as she fights against the invaders. And they decide that they're going to get additional help for her, and they run off. As Katana enters the manor, she meets Dr. Helga Jace and tells her that she has come from America to see her. Dr. Jace tells her that they need to leave because more soldiers are coming now. But Katana tells her that leaving's going to be the hard part, seeing as her Justice League flyer just got shot down. As Katana looks through Dr. Jace's work, Dr. Jace notices Katana's sword, and when she looks at it, she begins to see faces. Katana asks if she can actually see the souls that are within her sword. Not many people can, but for now, they need to leave. Once they get outside, the other villagers start to gather, asking Katana if she'll help them as well. She needs to protect them from the invaders. Katana at first didn't want to, but she decided against her gut and she decides she's going to help them. She tells them that they have to listen to every order she gives exactly if they're going to survive this. Later that night, with the villagers helping load up her crashed jet fuel, she asks Dr. Jace if she finished with her remote control. Dr. Jace tells her yes, but it will only work for a few moments. One of the villagers runs up telling Katana that the soldiers are here, and as the soldiers begin to march closer and closer to them, Katana gives the order to Dr. Jace to hit the remote. Soon, Katana's ship begins to shoot straight up into the air, and the soldiers begin to fire at it, but their commander notices that that was too easy and orders them to stop shooting, but at that point, it's far too late. The ship explodes and gas starts to pour on the soldiers, and it begins to burn everyone. Katana sees the commander and tells her that she commands her to surrender, and the commander responds with, "You should know better than that." She grabs Katana's sword from her and kicks her in the face. Katana falls to the ground and the two begin to struggle for control until Katana hears one of the children call out that they are going to go get help. With Katana's attention turned, the commander begins to beat on her and grabs Dr. Jace, calling in for support. Soon, a giant airship appears above the commander and Dr. Jace. Katana gets back up and tries to run after them, but she's too late. The commander has escaped, and then a projection shows in front of everyone. The projection is that of Lord Cobra, and he tells everyone that he will soon be sending in more troops for everyone to learn what obedience is. Later, the soldiers return to the town, and the female commander, called Lady Eve, begins to line the civilians up for execution. Eve asks everyone how does it feel to have their hero, Katana, abandon them. And then from the shadows behind, Katana jumps out and she starts to slash up the guards. Katana then turns and sees more guards, so she starts throwing stars at the power lines above, cutting them. And then they fall down into a puddle that the soldiers are standing in, shocking them. Katana then turns to Eve and tells her that now there is no one to distract her, and they can properly finish their fight. Eve tells her that she will fight her on her own terms, and she begins to escape. Katana begins to look for where Eve went, but when she leaves, she notices an officer fleeing in fear from the soldiers. She quickly throws a hook onto a speeding van and jumps on top of it, and when she does, she kicks the guard and knocks him out, bringing the van back to the station. Seeing how the officer left everyone, Katana begins to look around to see who may have been left behind, and that's when she sees Violet Harper. Violet says that she's an American tourist and was thrown in here after her and her boyfriend had a fight. Katana decides she's gonna free her and allows her to follow, but as they begin to leave, the officer from before tells them that they can't leave him behind. Katana tells him that she will show him the same mercy that he has shown them, and leaves him behind. Later that night, Katana goes to sleep and she begins to dream, and that's when she sees an image of her husband. She tells him soon she will find a way to free him from his imprisonment in her sword. And her husband tells her not to worry. Soon, they will be together again. But she's suddenly awoken by Violet making a bunch of noise. Katana asks her what's wrong and takes out her gag, and Violet says, for starters, the fact that she's tied up while Katana decides to sleep, and she really has to use the bathroom. Later, as the two of them travel, Violet complains that she's hungry, and Katana tells her, "We just ate," and asks, "Are you okay?" Violet tells her that she's fine, just tired, but Katana begins to listen. Things seem a bit too quiet, so she's gonna go on ahead and look around. She starts to search the woods and finds that there are soldiers already close by. And after eliminating the soldiers, she returns to find Violet pulling something out of the back of the van. It's the little girl Anna from before. Katana tells her that she needs to go back, but Anna says that she will be like Katana's assistant, kind of like Robin. Katana tells her that she doesn't need one, and then she looks down at the cat that Anna took with her and tells the cat to stop purring. She's angry at them! Violet begins to wander off and is soon spotted by Eve, and the soldiers begin to surround Katana's van, so she jumps out to fight these soldiers. During the fight though, Eve grabs a hold of Anna and tells Katana to surrender. She throws down her swords and then she's hit in the back of the head by a soldier with the butt of a gun. Later, as Katana begins to wake up, she finds herself tied to a tree and Eve holding her sword. She says that she has two final requests before she dies. One is that Eve frees her companions, they have nothing to do with her. And second, kill her with that sword. That way, she and her husband Maseo can finally be together. Eve says that's interesting, but she fears. Then Eve is stopped by someone telling her that's what they wanted to hear. Eve turns and sees Deadshot and the other members of the Suicide Squad. And Deadshot tells her, bringing fear is what the Suicide Squad does best. Eve orders her Black Adders to attack, but as everyone begins to fight, Anna tries to help Katana get free. That's when Boomerang pushes her to the side and cuts Katana's restraints. Katana runs back into battle and kicks Eve to take her sword back, but before she can go in for an attack, an explosion goes off, allowing Eve to escape. Katana then sees a tank drive up, and she asks what right did he have to interfere? The man looks at her, by what right? As Prince Brian Markov! Katana tells Brian that she is with the Justice League and she's here to get back Dr. Jace, and Deadshot tells them that they are here to help. A voice calls out to Katana and she turns around to see Anna running to her with the cat that's been following them. Katana hands the cat to the medic and tells him to do what he can, and Boomerang starts to laugh that she's trying to save a cat. She then backhands him in the nose, breaking his nose. Deadshot gets word from Waller telling him that she is what they came for, but as long as she is fighting with them, they will keep her alive, and once the fighting is over, Suicide Squad is to take her out and bring the sword back. The next day, Katana and the squad get ready to move out and assist in taking back the geothermic plant for Brian. But during this, Lord Cobra has already done some research from Eve's last battle. He's found that each of the Suicide Squad members have a little something in their necks. Once Katana and the squad reach their destination, they take out a group of guards to take their armor, and then they sneak into the plant that Brian lost contact with. The group sneaks in and they find that the volcanic base is having its lava redirected to the military base that sits right out in front of Castle Markov. Deadshot tells everyone that it's time to get out, but before they can, they're spotted and the soldiers open fire on all of them. The team heads back into the tunnels, and once they get in, one of the commanders calls out to bring the operation online. Flood the tunnels now! As the squad is making their way through the tunnels, they notice that things are starting to get a bit hot in here. Katana asks if they took the explosions from the soldiers that they knocked out, and Deadshot tells them, go ahead and plant them now. With the bombs in place, Boomerang throws a boomerang, triggering the bombs, bringing down Rebel to shield everyone. They then continue through the tunnels until they find a ladder to get out. Katana climbs up and tells everyone that they might be safe, but when she opens it, she sees Cobra right there. And she thinks to herself, she knows better than to say that. Cobra takes everyone hostage, including Brian himself, and heads back to his castle. While Lord Cobra sits and talks, Boomerang pulls out a blade from his sleeve and begins cutting his ropes. Katana tells him, when you're ready, go ahead and follow my lead. Katana begins to call out Eve, telling her that she may have her blade now, but she'll never master it. Once free, Boomerang frees the rest of the squad and the fight begins. But just as the fight starts to lean towards our heroes, Lord Cobra asks Eve to take out his device. After he gets his gun out, he fires it at Battle Axe and her neck begins to pulse. A second later, pop! Battle Axe's headless body falls to the ground. Somehow, Cobra has set off the Suicide Squad's bombs in their necks. Deadshot tells everyone to retreat for now, and an announcement goes out for all personnel in the castle to evacuate immediately. Everyone begins to get in the trucks outside, and as the soldiers chase after, Boomerang throws explosive boomerangs, trapping the soldiers at the entrance. After hours of driving, the group reaches Brian's secret base, and Katana tells Anna that she'll have to look after the cat for now. Once inside, Enchantress asks if she can have a look at him for a moment. But before Katana can tell her no, Enchantress begins to heal the cat. Katana thanks her for that, and she just responds with, it's not right for any innocent animal to suffer. Harley then pops out from around a corner telling Katana that she looks like something a cat would drag in, and Katana mentions that she did see a supply room, maybe there's something they can change into. Katana heads over there and picks up a short blade and begins to tailor some clothing to her taste. And when she's done, Katana rejoins the group in her new outfit. Deadshot tries to go over a little battle plan, and Boomerang mentions that it's like Lord Cobra is one step ahead of them. Katana tells everyone that Cobra's name also describes his manner. He deals in misdirection, and he wants them to think that his motives are to take over Markovia. But if that were really the case, he wouldn't need Dr. Jace. So what they need to do is take the battle to him. And Byron asks, "How? Cobra's headquarters is unknown to us." Katana says that she has had some thought on that and asks if Enchantress can come with her for a moment. Once alone, Katana shows Enchantress exactly what her blade does, by trapping souls within it. She then asks the souls which one of them would like to be free. The faces inside all cry out, "Me." She points to one of the slain soldiers and asks, "How do you summon Cobra?" And the soul responds by stating there's a special frequency that Cobra monitors. So, Katana frees the soul, but among the ones to surface, Maseo, her husband, also rises. He tells her that he just wanted to see her again, because being free in heaven would get lonely without her. She runs her finger along the blade and drops a single drop of blood. Maseo tells her they will meet again. Katana wanted to show Enchantress that to show her thanks for earlier. Just be sure not to speak to anyone about what her sword can do. After Katana leaves, Deadshot asks what that was all about, and Enchantress tells him that she can't say. Just know that Katana trusts her. Later that night, the group heads out and they wait on a cliff and bring a transmitter set to the frequency that the soul told them about. Once Katana hits the button, the soldiers see the signal request and they lock in. But that's when they see that it doesn't look like one of them. The airship appears and it soon charges its cannons and it begins to fire at the location requested. On board the ship, Cobra finally shows Dr. Jace the reason that she's here. And he shows her the Oracle. Oracle is an energy manifestation that Cobra came across when he was monitoring the collision of gravitational waves. Once he discovered it, Cobra's only thought was how he could use it. How could he weaponize it? While Cobra explains this, he receives a call from some of the officers reporting that they finally did it. They killed Katana and the rest of the individuals as they tried to board. Cobra asks if they decloaked the Ark to do this, to which the soldiers respond with yes. Then outside, Byron orders for his tanks to open fire on Cobra's Ark. Katana takes the chance while the Ark is visible and she jumps on board and sneaks into the Ark. Deadshot and the rest of the Suicide Squad hop aboard a jet, and after the Ark emerges from the cloak again, Enchantress directs them to where the Ark is. As they fly closer and closer, Enchantress's sense is getting stronger and stronger until suddenly, boom, they run into it. There it is. The team begins to make their way through the Ark and Dr. Jace begins to activate the machine that Cobra built. This machine will convert the Oracle and project it into a person, and their test subject is Violet Harper. The team reaches the testing chambers and finds that the Oracle has already been fused with Violet. But the Oracle wasn't just energy, it was sentient. One of the beings within the Oracle begins to take over Violet, and Katana tries to stop her, but the being that they now call Halo just won't listen as it throws Katana aside. Cobra then comes in to confront Katana and the rest of them, but Katana tells him they got a bigger problem, and the doors blast open past Cobra, so he takes his modified gun and he begins to use it on Halo. As the blast begins to do the same thing as it did to Battle Axe, Halo rips the device from her neck and throws it back, allowing it to explode over there. Cobra then leans to Katana and asks if she has any other ideas because he is out. And Eve tells everyone to look, and soon, Halo falls to her knees. Katana runs over to Violet just as the Oracle seemed to have left, but before Katana could kill her, Halo takes back over, pushing Katana away. Halo tells everyone that all they wanted to do was take back their errant member that was taken from them, but now with the pain that they've caused, they're gonna seek revenge as well. The Oracles release Violet and they begin to fly for Katana and the rest of them, and that's when Cobra attempts to shoot Violet. The Oracles begin to protect Violet, so Katana runs in, grabbing Violet, threatening to kill her and cut the Oracle's bond with her. But as they begin to take Violet away, Halo awakens again and attacks. Enchantress deflects the shot to Katana, who then deflects it back to Violet, who knocks her out again. Katana picks Violet back up and they begin to escape again until the rest of the Oracles finally break down the door and charge after them. As the Oracles begin to surround them, Katana throws her sword at one of them, hitting it. The sword flies into a machine and the exposed electrical units kills one of the Oracles. Seeing this, the Oracles flee, and Cobra sees that it was just the electricity that was needed to stop the Oracles. Violet begins to wake up and runs over to the mirror, asking what happened to us. They are like them. Enchantress looks her over and tells everyone that it's not Violet anymore. It's the Oracle inside of her taking command of Violet's body. Cobra tells everyone that they have escape pods up ahead, but as they turn the corner, the Oracles begin to fly back at them, attacking. This time, Halo takes back over and Halo begins to fight off the other Oracles. Halo tells the other Oracles that they are not of their kind anymore, and they will not go back with them. They will stay in this body, and they will die with it. The other Oracles attack back, telling Halo that they must return with them, without this cage of blood and bone. And Katana asks Enchantress if there's anything she can do, because if not, and the Oracles got out, Enchantress tells her, all right. And then Enchantress pulls the electricity out of the panels and begins to shock all of the Oracles, killing them. Enchantress looks back at Katana and asks her if she knew how many lives she just cost. And Katana tells her yes. She also knows the amount that they've saved. Cobra steps in and tells her that it's unfortunate that her life won't be among the saved, and he points his gun at Katana. Enchantress fires at Cobra, and Katana takes her sword, stabbing through Eve. But before Katana can finish her, Cobra releases a poisonous gas and he escapes. Katana picks up Violet and tells Enchantress to go ahead, meet back up with the rest of her squad. Enchantress rushes ahead and meets up with the rest of them, and they escape with Dr. Jace, as the Ark begins to fall out of the sky. Before landing though, Halo flies out of the side of it, carrying Katana to safety. The next day, Katana begins to wake up and she sees that she's lying in a hospital bed with everyone around, including that foolish cat that's been following her. Katana thanks everyone, but tells them that she must go. And as she leaves, she turns to Halo and asks if she's ready to go too. Katana says Kat and her will need someone to look after them. As the two of them walk off, Halo says that they think they are dying on the inside. Katana tells her she's probably just hungry, so we're gonna get you some food first. And Halo asks, what's food? And that is the conclusion of a separate Katana story. Now, I have no idea where this is gonna go. If she's gonna be in her own separate book, if she's gonna be teamed up with the squad again, or what's gonna happen from all of it. But I personally enjoyed this story, and I hope you guys did too. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian and Instagram at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.